Breaking news! The Miami Dolphins are headed toward one of the most uncertain and controversial seasons we've seen in years, and trust me, what I've learned will make you question everything about this team. The buzz around the league is high, and it's not good. Players may be on the move, the coaching staff may be under pressure, and there's a name in the front office who should have been fired a long time ago. Yes, you know who I'm talking about, Chris Grier. But somehow, he's still in charge. Before I lay it all out, every prediction, every warning sign, every reason to worry, do me a favor. If you've been following the Dolphins through thick and thin, hit the like button. And if you've been a fan for more than 2 decades, leave a comment right now saying, *Go Dolphins. My heart bleeds orange and water. *. What I'm about to share will shake some of you up, because the national media has already made up its mind, and it's not pretty. Let's get to it. Now let's talk about what's really going on with this team. The national media is not buying into the Dolphins, and quite frankly, they might have a point. Predictions from top analysts at ESPN, NFL.com, CBS, Bleacher Report, and Fox Sports all hover around one grim consensus. Miami is expected to win just 7 to 8 games this season. Some analysts are even going as far as putting the Dolphins at 4 wins, lumping them in with the likes of the Cleveland Browns and New Orleans Saints in terms of projected futility. That's right. Some see the Dolphins battling it out for the first overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Bleacher Report called it like it is. Miami is 1 injury away from complete collapse. Tua Tagovailoa has played through a full season only once in 5 years. When he's off the field, the team averages just 13.3 points per game. The backup plan? Zach Wilson. If that doesn't terrify you, it should. Miami's success is once again tied directly to Tua's health. But it's not just the quarterback situation. The offensive line has been completely rebuilt again. James Daniels and second-round pick Jonah Monheim are expected to step in and fortify a unit that's failed to stay healthy or effective in recent years. The team's faith in young Patrick Paul to possibly replace Terron Armstead is another massive gamble. If this line doesn't click, it won't matter how explosive Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle are. Speaking of Tyreek Hill, whispers are growing louder about his potential departure. Reports suggest Hill is both passively and aggressively angling for a trade, and the team might actually welcome it, especially in light of recent off-field issues. Trading away your best player just as you're trying to make a Super Bowl run? That would be a disaster. But Chris Grier's track record doesn't exactly inspire confidence in how that situation will be handled. And defensively, things aren't any better. Jalen Ramsey is reportedly being shopped. Javon Holland is already out. Now with the Giants, the safety positions are being manned by career backups like Ifeatu Melifonwo and Ashton Davis. Analysts are in agreement. This secondary is a liability, and with high-powered offenses on the 2025 schedule including the Bengals, Bills, Ravens, and Buccaneers, the Dolphins could be torched through the air unless something changes fast. The team is also loaded with question marks on the edge. Bradley Chubb and Jaylon Phillips are both coming off serious injuries. If neither returns to top form, Miami will struggle to generate pressure, which only exposes that shaky secondary even more. And then there's the schedule. While Miami technically plays the 9th easiest slate of games according to Sharp Football Analysis, it doesn't feel like it. Matchups against physical teams like the Ravens and Bills are going to test every weakness. Especially brutal is the stretch beginning in Week 9, where they face a gauntlet of elite defenses that could completely unravel whatever momentum the team manages to build early on. What stings even more? National outlets are giving the Dolphins no respect. Primetime games? We got 5, but none of them made it to the list of must-watch games. Not one. The message from the NFL media machine is loud and clear. The Miami Dolphins aren't expected to matter in 2025. So here we are, a team with glaring holes, questionable leadership, and sky-high injury concerns. And yet, somehow, expectations from parts of the fan base are still playoff or bust. Can this roster actually live up to that pressure? Or are we once again looking at a collapse that leads to another offseason filled with regrets and missed opportunities? Let's pick up right where we left off. The national narrative is grim, but Dolphins fans know one thing. When this team is firing on all cylinders, they can be explosive. The problem? They haven't shown the ability to sustain it. In 2023, Miami looked like a juggernaut for the first 3 quarters of the season. That success was largely driven by a healthy offensive line, and once that health evaporated, so did their momentum. By 2024, it was all downhill. The offense never looked like the high-powered machine fans were promised. Instead, it resembled a puzzle missing too many pieces. Now, in 2025, we're staring down a version of the Dolphins that feels like it's held together with duct tape and optimism. There's potential, there's always potential, but potential doesn't win games, and it certainly doesn't earn playoff spots. Every analyst agrees, this team is a high-risk, high reward proposition. If Tua stays healthy and the offensive line gels, maybe they shock everyone. But how many times have we heard that story before? Let's not ignore the elephant in the room, Mike McDaniel. While many fans love his charisma and offensive creativity, there's no question that this season could define his tenure. If things fall apart, if the offense sputters, if the defense collapses, if Tua gets hurt again, McDaniel could find himself on the hot seat, right next to Chris Grier. And let's be real, Grier should have been out the door a long time ago. His inability to build a sustainable, deep roster has haunted this team for years. Yet here we are, still dealing with his questionable decisions. There's also a serious lack of depth. If the frontline starters can't stay on the field, who's stepping up? At safety, at corner, even on the offensive line, there are no proven answers. It's a team built on top-tier talent with very little underneath to support it. The minute injuries start to pile up, this roster could implode. And that brings us to the fans. Dolphins fans are passionate, loyal. We bleed aqua and orange. But even the most diehard supporters are starting to feel the weight of another season filled with what-ifs. Another year where the national media shrugs us off. Another year where expectations fall short. And for what? Because the front office refuses to be bold enough to fix the structural problems holding this team back. Despite all this, there's still that glimmer of hope. That belief that maybe, just maybe, the stars will align. Maybe the line holds, Tua stays upright, and the receivers torch defenses like we know they can. Maybe the defense finds an identity. Maybe a few surprise players emerge and flip the narrative. But until we see it on the field, it's all just speculation. So now I turn it over to you, Dolphins fans. What do you think? Is this team really only worth 7 wins? Do you trust this front office to navigate the challenges ahead? Can Mike McDaniel prove the doubters wrong? Or are we heading toward another disappointing, injury-plagued season? The thing is, Dolphins Nation, no matter how much we want to stay optimistic, it's hard to ignore the writing on the wall. We've been down this road too many times, solid off-season hype, exciting talent on paper, and then it all falls apart the moment adversity hits. And the truth is, this 2025 version of the Miami Dolphins might be walking a thinner tightrope than any Dolphins team in recent memory. Let's dig a bit deeper into the heart of the issue, leadership and vision. Because this roster didn't fall apart on its own. The current state of the secondary, the offensive line overhaul, the questionable quarterback depth, this is the result of years of inconsistent roster building under Chris Grier. Yet somehow, despite his repeated failures, he's still here, still making decisions that directly affect the team's trajectory. And while Mike McDaniel is the public face taking the heat for on-field performance, it's Grier's fingerprints that are all over the construction of this flawed roster. Let's talk about this secondary for a moment. It's gone from being one of the team's greatest strengths to arguably its biggest liability. The potential trade of Jalen Ramsey isn't just shocking, it's a red flag that the team may be preparing to rebuild on the fly if the season goes sideways. Javon Holland, once seen as the future at safety, is now with the Giants. And behind them, Melifonwo and Ashton Davis, 2 career backups being asked to do the work of Pro Bowl caliber players. That's not a plan. That's a hope. And hoping isn't going to cut it against quarterbacks like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. On offense, it doesn't get much more reassuring. Tyreek Hill is a walking headline, and not always for the right reasons. Rumors are flying that he's trying to push his way out, and if he goes, that entire offense shifts. Without Hill's gravity, Jalen Waddle gets doubled, Tua loses his deep threat, and the Dolphins' identity as a speed-based offense crumbles. And let's not forget, this is a team already dealing with constant injuries to its offensive core. Relying on unproven rookies and veteran patchwork like they're going to hold the fort for 17 games is reckless. Then you look at the